today is going to be the day that I'm going to throw it back to you. Because by now, I should have somehow realized why we've got a V2. This is the NewBeeDrone Hummingbird RaceSpec V2, not to be confused with the Hummingbird RaceSpec V3.1, because that's actually the V1. In the 12 years I've been running this channel, I don't think I've seen a shorter time span between a V1 and a V2. In this case, the difference has been about 6 months between releases. I do get that while tinywhoop racing is niche, the people that are into it are proper hardcore, and the V1 sold like crazy as far as I can tell. I only really saw a couple of issues with the V1, the first one being that the camera mount is made out of TPU, so in a crash, the camera could bend back and smash into the VTX chip, destroying it. On this new one, we have a different camera. It's a V2 of the BI camera with 800 TV lines rather than 600. They say it's lighter, sharper, better. And they've moved the camera forward to try and stop the camera hitting the board in a crash. But as you can see, that is still very much possible. So again, I advise some sort of thick padded foam behind the camera to protect it. Otherwise, you are going to damage your VTX pretty quickly again. A downside of the V1 was that its analog VTX only went up to 25 milliwatt to comply with tinywhoop race rules. This time we can lock it at 25 milliwatt but also go up to 100 and 400 milliwatt, and it's using SmartMax thermal regulation to stop it overheating. Now that usually involves a heatsink or a fan, which it doesn't have. The other method is to simply reduce the power output, so bear that in mind. If it's overheating on a hot day, you may not be getting anywhere near its claimed power output. All of these changes open it up to a broader audience, but we are still stuck with this crazy camera angle that can only get crazier. If there's enough demand, let me know and I will design a mount that will let us fly it in our tiny, pokey houses in the UK. Or for the less talented pilots, which I include myself when it comes to tinywhoop racing. My only option at the moment is to fly this outside because our indoor sports hall is closed for the summer and it's windy outside, which is not going to suit something this small. The ExpressLRS receiver is no longer SPI based, so it can be updated independently rather than it being baked into the version of Betaflight that it's on. That was a concern on the last one. There is a caveat to that. ExpressLRS are not supporting it at the making of this video, so you do need to still go to the NewBeeDrone website for the ExpressLRS firmware. Let's hope they do keep it updated. I'm going to say it again, 6 months between the V1 and the V2. The ExpressLRS antenna is now surface mounted, which is way better than a copper wire sticking out. The all-in-one board is completely different. It now does 18 amp current draw over 12 amp off the V1. There is reverse polarity protection, but as it's got an A30 connector, you've done a really good job if you've managed to fit it the wrong way. I know there are different battery type connectors, etc., so it's good that it's got that. It's preloaded and fully set up with Betaflight 4.5.1. They're calling it their Race Pro firmware, so it's not the CAC firmware of the V1, but they say it is similar. And you'll notice a lack of a USB connector. They give you this really fiddly USB-C adapter that plugs into small pins on the board. Make sure that nothing is connected power-wise when you plug it in to avoid any shorts. I can see this breaking really easily. V4 next. This detachable USB Type-C board is simply to try and keep the weight down or similar to the V1. So the V2 is showing 16.7 grams on my questionably accurate scales versus 16.5 grams for the V1. I'd really recommend changing the battery warning voltages in Betaflight, otherwise it's going to be screaming at you pretty early on. Now you might say, Andy, this is going to destroy your batteries. Well, race whoops are battery destroyers regardless. There doesn't appear to be any changes to the frame, motors or props other than a props out configuration this time. I'm using Tattoo 300 mAh high volt 1S lipos. What you have to remember with these small models when upping the VTX power is that it's going to reduce your flight time. So we are at 100 milliwatts here, and indoors with the V1 I think I was getting 3-minute flight times. With the VTX power at 100, remember it can go up to 400, then yeah, I think your flight time is going to be greatly reduced. So these trees back here about 120 meters, line of sight, it's absolutely fine. Let's give it a bit of punch. Straight into the low battery. So they are designed for like small blasts of punch. I'm using my Fat Shark HDO 2s here, I think, with a rapid fire module, a Menace periscope antenna, and a Bandicoot linear antenna. And it seems okay. The wind's not too bad today actually, and the tune is absolutely fine for this. So of course it's more expensive than the V1 by quite a bit actually, so if they still sell the V1 then that's worth checking out, because there aren't too many differences between the two other than the higher VTX power output. They are for the hardcore racer, so bear that in mind, not beginner friendly at all. And I'm sure if you are a hardcore tiny whoop racer, then this is fantastic for you. Okay, so what are we at? 2-minute flight time. Haven't really been giving it lots of throttle. Need to keep it in close because the grass is fairly long here. Not too long, but enough to lose a whoop that doesn't have a buzzer on it. It's getting low now. So yeah, that is my take on the NewBeeDrone Hummingbird RaceSpec V2. And it looks like it's about to die, so let's try and get it close to us. Yep, hope you enjoyed this video, and there it goes. Yeah, so not sure brownout is the word, it's just a battery just completely went, and there goes telemetry loss, so it's completely lost everything and power and whatnot. So there you go. Thanks for watching, cheers.